allows the entire system to grab onto the valves so they don't drop down into the pistons and destroy your motor. These also have a fail-safe where if you're putting too much air into them, it will stop the air in this general area and they'll start venting, because it doesn't want to have 800 psi, pumped through it. It would prefer to have, 600 or 700, operating. So, or obviously less, but when it goes in and it hits your LPR, it is going to want a significant, amount of air, but not too much. And again, it will vent, which is exactly what it's doing. So if your Angel does leak, and you don't feel comfortable tearing it all down and whatnot, even after watching this video, you can always send it in to me. We typically have a 2 to 3 day turnaround, depending on what I've got going on for a process. I do like to let people know that sometimes that changes. If something is unforeseen, everybody's got a life, everybody's got other things outside of paintball. I am no exception at all. Sometimes, stuff takes a little bit longer. But now we've kind of gotten to that point where you can take off the feed neck. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on there because, it's not it's not a stock feed neck, but it's a CCM. What I would do if I was going to take this off is I would remove the bolt from the top, remove the collar, and put a butter knife through the slits and then back it off. Voila, that would come right off. Right now, though, what I want to focus on is the breech pins. And so what I'm going to do is, first off, you have two set screws. And they're in the back of the, they're behind the breech pins. And you can back those off. The one thing you want to do is if you're backing it off and you happen to see stuff coming with it, just go ahead and wipe it off just to kind of get it out of the way. Because, if you're, backing this off and it's dirt and grit, it falls down into your, your ram chamber and whatnot, and you don't notice it and you just decide that, oh, well, put some O-rings on, some grease, slap it all back together. Now you've got some stuff in there. Trust me, it's just easier to kind of keep up with it, and get that stuff out of there. It doesn't belong there. So, and then we go ahead and we back this set screw off. The long set screw is going to go into the back. The same thing with the 05 speed, that I did a little while ago. It had 2 different set screws, and when you place them side by side, one of them is noticeably longer. That one would go into the back, of the marker. Okay. All right, sweet. This one's moving too, which is really great. Sometimes you will find that these will have, a significant amount of stuff built up in them, especially the one in the front. It's going to have paint. People get shot. The guns get shot. Tim used this for tournament play, believe it or not. We actually had a little bit of a discussion in regards to, it, because I told him, I said I needed a A4 fly, and at the time I didn't have my Cobra Mamba A4 fly. So I was like, put out the word that I needed one. And Tim was like, I got one. He's like, I've got one from, back in my tournament days, which, this actually screams tournament use. It's got, the aftermarket feed neck. It's got the little wild accessories that people always got a kick out of when they see. It's got, stickers and stuff to let people know what you're shooting. Easily picked up if somebody's, filming it. All those little things kind of add up to a really kick-ass, paintball gun. This one was all business. It's got some dings and dents and scratches and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, this is easily one of the best platforms, that Angel produced. I think for, dollar for dollar, pound for pound, the A4 Fly was one of the best that Angel produced, especially at the time, because they put eyes in it. They listened to the customer. They put eyes in it. They made adjustability. The board is easy to read. It has, adjustability also. They did still have the rechargeable battery, which is funny because rechargeable batteries actually kind of made a comeback, including $1,500 Luxes have rechargeable batteries now. So, Angel knew what they were doing. They knew that they didn't want people, wasting through 9 volts and, whatnot. So at one point, they kind of got ahead of the curve when it came to the rechargeable battery. Because if you look at a lot of the other guns out there, they kind of, set the standard for them. I'm not saying they were the first or the only ones, but they certainly were very well known for their recharging packs, their rechargeable, abilities. You could plug them into your car on the way to the field. Boom, you're ready to go. All right, so now I'm going to grab the threaded rod that I have here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that right in the back of the marker. The breech pin is threaded. You're going to want to have that accessible. You want it also to have what you're using to pull it out clean, just because of the fact that you have the threads are really super fine. Any sort of grit, any sort of grime will affect the way that those accept a screw. So we're gonna go ahead, and I pulled that out a little bit. The pin's actually coming out pretty easily, which we like to see. It does have some grit, it does have some wear on it, no big deal. This is kind of typical, especially for a marker that's been sitting for a while. But that's going to clean up really well. It's not pitted, it's not it's not too gnarly. So after you're done cleaning these up, I use a wire wheel on a Dremel. I add a little bit of grease to it, and then when I slide them back in, I know that they're protected, and I also know that 9 times out of 10 they're going to come out just as easily as they went in, which is half the battle nowadays with these markers, is being able to take them apart, to be able to fix them and clean them. I'm very particular about my guns. I make sure that if any screws are starting to get kind of grimy or whatever, they get pulled. I do not like to I don't like surprises. I don't like I don't like my markers having to have tools that weren't necessary to take them apart. I try to tell people all the time that you have to you have to really really consider what you're going to do next with your marker, when working on them and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and pull that one out. That one was a little sticky, but again, if you keep your area clean, then you don't have to worry about it flying and smashing into stuff. As you can see, this one's definitely got more surface rust, more grime. If they sit long enough, they are stainless. If they sit long enough, they will in fact rust, and they will start getting pitting. It's just the way it is. Stainless, and or high end metals are not completely impervious to rust and to staining, believe it or not. So gonna hit that with a wire wheel, a little bit of grease, bam, gonna be in good shape. Take the breech off, take a look at the seal. This one's starting to lift a little bit, no big deal. Gonna take it right off, and then what I'm gonna do after I do that is I'll end up taking off all of the old adhesive, and then super gluing the seal back on, because as soon as you get anything, because this is all lifting on the corners and stuff, as soon as you get anything underneath that adhesive, it's not going to work well. And we all know, these aren't new. They're not brand new. The seals and the adhesive are old. So you got to kind of understand that, not expect this stuff to last forever. It's the reason why we still have repair people, that are available. I think I'm like one of maybe 3 other guys that will work on Angels in the U.S., at least commercially. I know there's some people that, will still work on them, like on a smaller scale. But, I work on, roughly on average 3 to 4 a week, which has allowed me to see a lot of Angels, and has allowed me to see a lot of misuse and mistreatment, which, kind of gives me the ability to pass on to you what to do and what not to do, with your Angel. If you have any questions at all, you have any concerns, you have any tips or suggestions, go ahead and post them below. You know, if you you know, are looking for upgrades, I can always point you out to the right people. You know, one thing I can say is there are companies making replacement eyes and battery packs for these, so we can keep these things going for a long, long time. Again, you know, if you have any questions or if you have any concerns or suggestions, go ahead and post them below in the comments, and I will answer them as quickly as I can. Again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope that you learned something. And again, if you don't have the confidence still after watching this video to do this, go ahead and give me a shout and we can take care of you. I'm always accepting service work and upgrades.